Over the past 2 decades, China's People's Liberation Army Navy has undergone a major transformation. Once focused primarily on coastal defense and regional waters, it has rapidly expanded its capabilities to operate in distant oceans. Shipbuilding programs have delivered a wide range of modern surface combatants, submarines, and logistics and support vessels. Increased funding and resourcing led to a sustained investment in technology, personnel, and infrastructure. This growth signals a strategic shift towards a blue water navy with global reach and influence. Meanwhile, in the Western Pacific theater, land-based assets on the Chinese mainland, such as ballistic missiles and naval bombers, continue to support PLA naval forces. Today, we will discuss the major strengths and the key weaknesses of the People's Liberation Army Navy, or in short, the PLAN. First up, we will talk about all the core strengths of China's Navy. The PLAN's surface combatants fleet has seen especially substantial improvements over the past decade. China now operates modern destroyers that are rather capable across all key domains of naval warfare. The Type 052D and the Type 055 destroyers in particular combine robust air defense with strong offensive capabilities. The Type 052D can provide area air coverage for task forces, while the Type 055 represents a leap in displacement, missile capacity, and sensor capability. Naval radar is one key area where modern Chinese destroyers are well ahead with active electronically scanned arrays, or ASAR radars, undertaking volume search and targets tracking. Both the Type 052D and the Type 055 carry long-range anti-ship missiles, such as the YJ-18 supersonic cruise missile, the YJ-20 anti-ship ballistic missile, and in the future may carry the YJ-17 hypersonic missile armed with a hypersonic glide vehicle as warhead. The older Type 052C is competent in air defense, but it lacks the same offensive punch and sensor sophistication of the newer classes, although it too has an ASAR radar. The contrast between the modern destroyers and China's older destroyers, which are much more limited in weaponry and sensor, is stark. However, the old vessels with very limited capability, such as the Type 052B and the 051B, represents only a small part of the destroyer fleet. The majority, from the Type 052C and onwards, are comparable to the US Navy's Arleigh Burkes in air defense capability. In terms of dedicated anti-ship capability, the Type 052D and Type 055 are far more heavily optimized for surface strikes than the Burkes. They provide both defensive coverage and offensive strike potential for Chinese carrier strike groups. Anti-submarine warfare is another area where the PLAN has made rapid progress, often contrary to established perceptions. This is a case where perceptions lag behind fast-moving development. Chinese destroyers, frigates, and even corvettes are equipped with comprehensive sonar suite, including hull-mounted sonar, variable depth sonar, and towed array systems. They carry anti-submarine missiles, lightweight torpedoes, and are supported by capable maritime aviation assets. The Z-20F helicopter, optimized for anti-submarine warfare, is the premier naval helicopter deployed on China's modern destroyers. They enhance submarine detection and engagement capabilities across a naval formation. Older anti-submarine helicopters, for example the Z-9C, remain available to support smaller warships, including those without sufficient aviation facilities to use the Z-20. Additionally, the Y-8Q maritime patrol aircraft provide fixed-wing anti-submarine capabilities from land, allowing for extended surveillance through sonobuoys and rapid response over broad maritime regions. This multi-layered approach to anti-submarine warfare significantly improves the PLAN's ability to detect and destroy adversary submarines. In general, modern anti-submarine warfare relies heavily on aircraft, so Chinese defenses against submarines tend to be strongest where China enjoys air superiority, which is to say, the Western Pacific region. The Chinese Navy has developed a very balanced high-low mix in its surface combatants. Destroyers perform high-intensity tasks, including air defense and anti-ship strikes. The Type 054A frigates are assigned medium-intensity missions, responding to lesser aerial threats and taking on board anti-submarine duties. The Type 056A corvettes handle low-intensity patrol and rear area anti-submarine warfare. Fast missile attack boats, like the Type 22, provide additional offensive capability and can attack lightly defended targets, especially where they are safe from aircraft. This division of task allows each category of vessels to do the job it's best suited to do, reducing the risk of overstretch. By contrast, the United States Navy often relies on Arleigh Burke-class destroyers to perform a wide spectrum of roles, from low-intensity patrols to high-end missile defense, which can extend their operational capacity and complicates force allocation. China's tiered approach, with a clearly defined high-low mix and mission roles for each class, improves efficiency and readiness across the fleet. China's conventionally powered submarine fleet is also a notable asset. The Type 039A, B, and C submarines are modern diesel-electric vessels equipped with air-independent propulsion. This allows them to operate submerged for longer periods without surfacing or snorkeling, reducing their exposure to detection. The Type 039C is speculated to incorporate lithium-ion batteries, providing greater energy storage and faster recharge rates than conventional lead-acid batteries. These conventional submarines are very quiet, partly due to their large hull volume, which allows for the rafting of machinery and sound dampening measures. The use of an electric motor powered by batteries while submerged, with fewer moving parts than nuclear propulsion, also contributes to low noise levels. The older Type 039 Song class remains capable despite lacking air-independent propulsion, reinforcing China's ability to maintain a potent conventional submarine force across multiple generations. While unsuitable for power projection, diesel-electric submarines can perform missions closer to home, from coastal defense to regional deterrence, and pose credible threats to capital ships. Logistics and at-sea replenishments are another strength for the PLAN. The Chinese Navy has invested heavily in replenishment ships, building a dual-tier system consisting mainly of the Type 901 fast combat support ships and the Type 903A replenishment vessels. The Type 901 is a high-end asset with a propulsion built around 4 gas turbines and able to achieve a top speed of 25 knots. They are fast enough to accompany carrier strike groups and provide large volumes of fuel, ammunition, and supplies, thanks to their 45,000-ton displacement. The Type 901 is therefore ideal for sustenance and blue water missions. The Type 903A, by contrast, is smaller at 23,000 tons and slower due to its diesel propulsion, but less expensive, allowing China to maintain numerous support vessels for single warships, surface action groups, and regional deployment. The balance between highly capable, fast combat support ships and lower-tier replenishment vessels with greater availability ensures operational flexibility, enabling the PLAN to sustain multiple task forces simultaneously and operates extensively in the Western Pacific, South Pacific, and Indian Ocean. Setting aside the question of balance, the large size of the naval logistics fleet in absolute terms supports China's ability to project naval power over long distances and to some extent compensates for the lack of overseas bases. Despite the strengths of the PLAN, there remain shortcomings and clear areas for improvement. This is where we talk about the outstanding weaknesses. And this is all relative to the US Navy, to be 100% clear. China's nuclear submarine fleet, while developing, remains limited. China's actively serving nuclear attack submarines are from the Type 093 family. With the NATO designation, the Shan class, they include the original Type 093 and the Type 093A and 093B variants, which represents incremental improvements. The 093A is probably similar to the improved Los Angeles class in terms of noise levels, while the 093B possibly approaches the early Virginia class variant. However, these boats are still outclassed by the latest US nuclear attack submarines in terms of noise levels, particularly the Seawolf and the later variants of the Virginia. Quantity matters as well, not just quality. There are too few nuclear submarines in the PLAN to conduct extended operations beyond the second island chain, limiting strategic reach. Future investments and production must focus on increasing the number of nuclear attack submarines and producing quieter designs. The Type 095 attack submarine that is recently launched is likely to address the current shortcomings, at least qualitatively. But more Type 095 submarines have to be acquired before they can really make a meaningful difference to the nuclear submarine balance. Similarly, China's nuclear ballistic missile submarines require improvement. Despite reductions in noise compared with earlier classes, the Type 094 ballistic missile submarines remains rather vulnerable to detection. Development of the upcoming Type 096 submarines and the deployment of the longer-range JL-3 submarine-launched ballistic missiles are essential to achieve a credible, at-sea, nuclear deterrent. Without quieter submarines and extended-range nuclear missiles, China cannot reliably maintain an effective strategic nuclear force under the sea. If the PLAN wants to become a truly blue water navy, then it needs more super carriers. The commissioning of the Type 003, the Fujian, marks a major step, providing China's first carrier equipped with catapults to launch fixed-wing aircraft. The Fujian is China's first cattle-bar carrier, which stands for Catapult-Assisted Takeoff but Arrested Recovery. However, China has only a single cattle-bar carrier, while the remainder of its carrier fleet consists of ski-jump carriers, the Liaoning and the Shandong. The lack of catapults and reliance on the ski jump limits the maximum takeoff weight of aircraft and operational flexibility, constraining combat effectiveness. Expanding the number of cattle bar carriers would therefore go a long way to building organic air power in a blue water setting. Incorporating nuclear propulsion would enhance operational endurance and allow for more aviation fuel and ordnance to be carried by a nuclear supercarrier, owing to the removal of the need to carry marine fuel. While nuclear propulsion does not remove the need to refuel and resupply the carrier's escort, it does significantly increase operational range and tempo for the same level of naval logistics. The ongoing construction of the Type 004 nuclear-powered supercarrier equipped with catapults will therefore be critical for the PLAN's carrier force. The PLAN's naval aviation also requires further development. The introduction of the J-35 stealth fighter and the KJ-600 airborne early warning aircraft on the Fujian is a promising development. These aircraft enhance the combat capability of China's carriers, particularly in air-to-air combat and surveillance roles. However, the number of operational aircraft of these types remains limited, and more must be acquired. Pilots' training and experience should be increased to ensure combat readiness. It takes time to accumulate the operational experience for naval aviators and for carrier personnel more generally before a carrier and its air wing can reach full operating capability. Development of the next generation WS-19 jet engine for the J-35 is critical, as it provides the power needed for enhanced flight performance. The J-35, being lighter than the J-15 flanker, is expected to operate on China's older ski jump carriers, increasing the military value of these older carriers. Until a sufficient number of J-35, KJ-600, and the associated trained pilots become available, China's carrier strike groups will not achieve full combat potential. Anti-ballistic missile capability is another area where the PLAN lags behind the US Navy. While Chinese destroyers are well equipped for traditional air defense against aircraft and cruise missiles, they lack comparable anti-ballistic missile interceptors analogous to the American SM-3. While China has developed land-based anti-ballistic missile defense, known as the HQ-19, they are not believed to be navalized. This is increasingly relevant given the deployment of tactical ballistic missiles by potential adversaries. The United States has invested heavily in this domain. Without similar capabilities, the PLAN's ability to protect high-value assets such as carriers and logistic ships from ballistic missile threats is constrained. Developing an effective anti-ballistic missile system is therefore important. The PLAN's reliance on home ports and limited overseas bases also constrains its blue water operations. Sustained deployment depends heavily on replenishment vessels, which must supply fuel, ordnance, and other essentials without access to forward bases. While China has established a presence at Djibouti and operates overseas support elements in some regions, the network is not extensive enough to provide robust support globally. Expanding overseas logistics hub and alliances would reduce operational risk, increase the tempo of deployment, and enhance the PLAN's ability to maintain continuous presence far from home. The PLAN has developed a surface combatants fleet that is modern, versatile, and multi-role. Its anti-submarine warfare capability is robust, supported by naval aviation. China's surface fleet exhibits a balanced high-low mix across destroyers, frigates, corvettes, and fast missile boats, enhancing efficiency and avoiding overstretch. PLAN conventional submarines are quiet, and many are equipped with air-independent propulsion, allowing for greater stealth and survivability. A well-developed logistics fleet allows sustained operations in distant waters and supports power projection. These are the core strengths of the PLAN as it stands. Areas for improvement are clear. China needs to modernize its nuclear submarine fleet to meet operational requirements beyond the second island chain. This includes quieter nuclear attack submarines for the interdiction of hostile forces, and nuclear ballistic missile submarines armed with longer-range nuclear missiles for nuclear deterrence purposes. The carrier fleet requires more supercarriers and nuclear propulsion, along with a sufficient number of J-35 stealth fighters and KJ-600 early warning and control aircraft. Anti-ballistic missile capability must be developed to protect key assets, and the PLAN should invest in overseas logistics bases to support extended blue water deployment. While China has closed the gap with Western navies in several areas, addressing these shortcomings is essential for the PLAN to achieve a credible global naval presence. The trajectory of the PLAN shows sustained improvement, but the transition to a truly global naval power contains a high barrier to entry.